You're welcome to the Marketplace. I'm Charles Ayete. Here are the top stories that we're following up for you this afternoon. The Bank of Ghana has set to announce a new policy rate for the next 2 months after meeting to review the health of the economy. We shall give you updates on the expectations from economists. Also coming up on the program, each Ghanaian will pay 11,000 cedis as Ghana's public debt increases to 332.4 billion cedis, with debt to GDP now 76.6%. What does this all mean to the average Ghanaian out there? We shall break it down when Professor Peter Korte, an economist, joins us later on. Also in the bulletin, the Mobile Money Advocacy Group raised concern over unfair commissions and spate of attacks on their members.
A better and a transparent commission base. We don't want a business whereby the commission is being hidden and then at the end of the month they just push anything to us. We've been writing letters to their office several times, but they have refused to listen to us.
We have details on their concerns. All of this and more coming up shortly after the program. After this break, do stay. Now to our first story. The Bank of Ghana is set to announce a new policy rate for the next 2 months after meeting to review the health of the economy. Meanwhile, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is set to announce a new policy rate later this afternoon. Now, this was after it met to review developments in the economy over the last 2 months. However, economists sampled by Joy Business are of the view that the rate, which currently stands at 13.5%, will be reduced marginally to at worst kept unchanged. Irrespective of the decision by the committee, it will influence the cost of credit in the country over the next 2 months. Meanwhile, economist and finance lecturer Dr. Lord Mensah believes the rate will remain same for now, since much has not changed within the economy since the MPC last cut the rate by about 1% in May, which is about 100 basis points. Let's listen to Dr. Lord Mensah.
There seems to be an easing direction, over the years. But then remember, petroleum product prices has the potential to go up. And so once the tendencies are there for petroleum price to go up, which is going to transmit into prices of goods and services in our environment, as a setting of the monetary policy, all this, I don't think they'll be comfortable reducing the policy rate. They would like to keep it fixed.
In a related development, cost of loans continue to fall, but marginally as average lending rate stood at 20.61% per annum in June, equivalent to about 7.72% of interest per month you'll pay on monies borrowed from the bank. However, the average lending rate varies among the banks and respective sectors. According to data from the Bank of Ghana, the average lending rate fluctuated in the first quarter of the year, but has since retreated in the second quarter. Senior partner of accounting and auditing firm Anthony Sarpon told Joy Business interventions by the Central Bank of Ghana have been key in stabilizing prices and keeping interest rates relatively low, despite the impact of COVID-19 on the economy.
If I take it from the monetary point of view, as you said, from Bank of Ghana, you will notice that they have fairly managed the exchange rate well. For a long time, the Ghana cedi has stabilized, and even in their last report, appreciated against the dollar, and of course, a little marginally against the British pound. That means that as an economy that we depends on import substitution, the stability of the prices will remain fairly stable, and that helps our traders and businessmen.
You heard senior partner of accounting and auditing firm Anthony Sarpon there. You're still watching The Marketplace, and we shall go for a very short break. When we return, we'll tell you the story of how each Ghanaian will pay a little above 11,000 Ghana cedis. The country's debt to GDP is, of course, 332.4 billion cedis if it's shared among the 30 million Ghanaians around the world, around the country. Do stay for more details. You're still watching Marketplace. You're welcome back to the program. Now to a development story that we currently do have. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has issued out the MPC rate this time around. My colleague George Rafi joins me in studio for the details regarding this. So George, what do we know regarding the announcement?
Well, what we know is that the rate that currently stands at 13.5% it has been kept unchanged after the committee met through last week to today to determine what could be the cost of credit or what are they going to lend to commercial banks out there for the next 2 months. So the news is that the rate stands at 13.5%. It has not been changed. It's been kept at the same rate.
But what exactly went into this computation?
Well, the Bank of Ghana, or the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana argued that they still think that there is some threat to the recovery of the economy. If you've been watching the numbers closely, you've seen that there's been some sustained recovery in the economy. Now we have this third wave, and it's been confirmed by the Ghana Health Service. Even the president yesterday doing his report or assessment said that indeed we are in the third wave, and they are worried about what could be the impact of this third wave on the economy. Therefore, you want to be tactical and strategic in actually reviewing this rate. And this rate, Charles, is the rate at which the Bank of Ghana lends to commercial banks in the country. It goes a long way to influence the cost of credit. You also want to use the MPC as a tool to check the amount of money in circulation and improve credit as well. So do you want to push in credit so much that could impact on inflation, or you want to hold on a little bit? And they looked at this as one of the main reasons why they said, no, let's hold on. Also, when you look at the deficit as well, government missed out on it for the first 5 months of this year. And deficit has an impact also on the amount of money in circulation in terms of spending. So they looked at that one and they thought that, no, it might be prudent to hold on to this rate and therefore not take any actions that could destabilize the seemingly stability that we are seeing in the economy.
So as I said, a strategic move there. But for the investors out there watching, for the average Ghanaian who often, withdraws from the bank, goes for loans, what does this mean to them?
What this means, and the policy rate often influence the cost of credit in the country. So therefore, you may be assured that if a commercial bank A was basically looking at lending from the Bank of Ghana, nothing much might change going forward. Also, we shouldn't forget about the signaling effect of the policy rate, because for a lot of people, it gives us an indication what could happen in the next 2 months. What Bank of Ghana has done right now, it's more of showing us that some level of uncertainty ahead of us. So let's be a little bit cautious. If you want to do any serious lending, be very strategic on what you do as well in going forward. So for you, it means that, well, there are some threats ahead, so be a little bit careful in whatever you're doing. And also for the fact that if you're looking for lending going forward or fresh lending, don't expect any drastic reduction in that cost of credit to you as a businessman or as an individual.
George, many thanks for that update there. And we shall be, of course, delving deeper into this matter, especially when Professor Peter Korte of the Institute of Social and Statistical Research joins us via Zoom currently. Professor, we're so grateful that you joined us. You did hear from my colleague George Rafi on the announcement so far. How does, first of all, your reactions to this? Because we've heard so many economists saying that it could reduce marginally. Your reactions?
Yeah, good afternoon to your discerning viewers. I am not surprised at the announcement, because I was expecting that the rate would be maintained.
Okay.
For a few reasons. First, you look at the inflation outlook, you realize there's been some marginal food price increases, there's been some wage agitations, and of course, some marginal decreases in the exchange rate. So all of this will tell you that either you maintain the rate or you increase it. I think there's not the time to increase the rate, rather to maintain the rate, because if you reduce the rate, you're going to stimulate higher credit, and inflation can also kick in again, and you have higher rates of inflation. If you also look at the growth prospects, yes, the economy is picking up, growth has rebounded, and we've seen some expectation in terms of vaccine deployment. So that again is quite positive in terms of the growth side, and any attempt to change the rate at this time wouldn't augur well for the economy. I think maintaining the rate now is the best option.
So speaking of maintaining the rate, what about the prospect? Should we have this tangent in the next 6 months, the next year? Should this be the next, especially when we're having the third wave of COVID-19, its impact on our economic stretch?
Yeah, the third wave is imminent, but I think we ought to do what it takes if we get a vaccine in, if we respect the protocols, I think we'll minimize the effects of the third wave and be able to grow at appreciable levels. So for me, the third wave, yes, is threatening, but it won't be a problem if we respect the protocols and we also get a vaccine in. And yesterday we had the president promising that we are likely to get more vaccines so that people will be vaccinated against the virus.
Great. Well, we shall keep an eye on the impact of this in the subsequent bulletins. But, Professor, one other issue on our table currently this afternoon is with the rising debt stock, 76.6% to GDP. What are you seeing within these figures?
We are not in normal times, but also the debt GDP ratio is on the high side. We are close to a debt distress classification, but I think there are some outlines or policy outlines in the budget. If you look at the 2021 budget, there are some policies that have been outlined to ensure that we move back to sustainable thresholds. And I believe going forward, here in the media review and subsequent budget presentations, where we should see improvement in our debt GDP ratio. Although you mentioned in your earlier submission that when the debt is shared, each Ghanaian is supposed to pay about 11,000 cedis. What it tells you is that if we are to pay all the debt now, that is what we are expected to pay. But I don't think any country pays its debt within 1 year. So we should be rest assured that is not the case. However, a higher debt GDP ratio is not what one country or one would expect. You expect your debt GDP ratio to be within sustainable levels. Otherwise, you spend more of your revenue financing debt, and you'll be left with very little money to finance development expenditures. And that is not the way to go.
But Professor Quartey, even ahead of the media, budget review, the estimate, what about the issue about going austere measures to whip up revenue to ensure that the fiscal sides are much more stronger? From your perspective as an economist, is it a time for us to run an austere management of the economy?
In a pandemic, you don't run an austere budget. I mean, if you listen to other countries, UK, US, and the rest, they are spending. In a pandemic, you spend to revive the economy. Otherwise, you stay in a recession for a very long time. That is why the UK president in one time said, build, build, build. So basically, he's telling us, put in more money in infrastructure. Same with other countries. US is pumping in money, trying to revive the economy. That is why we have the COVID-19 alleviation fund, we have the CARES program. These are all measures meant to help us come out of recession, possible recession.
But do you feel the instrument?
But of course, you have to run an efficient budget to make sure you get value for money for your spending, but not an austere budget. Raise more revenue as you can, and also spend judiciously.
But do you feel the instruments being injected by government so far are efficient enough to, get us out of this mess?
They are to a large extent, but I think there is room for improvement. We've heard about digitization. That is a sure way to go so that we can rake in more revenue. At the moment, there's quite a lot of leakages, and until we block those leakages and raise more revenue, I think we'll be in that cycle where the financing gap is huge and we have to resort to borrowing to meet our financing gap. We ought to move away from this cycle and raise more revenue domestically. That is the sure way to go. If you borrow to finance consumption, it is not appropriate. You borrow to finance investment so that you'll be able to repay your debt.
Well, so finally, before we let you go, a fellow economist, Dr. Pripra, has indicated, that government focused on arithmetic effect of taxation. He suggests that more focus on economic effect is not that good. Do you believe it's a session?
If you could come again.
A fellow economist is, suggesting, specific instrument. He says that government must not only focus on the arithmetic effect of taxation, but he's suggesting that more focus must be placed on the economic effect of it.
Yes, certainly, if you want to tax, you want to ensure that your taxation system is efficient. It's raising revenue, but also affecting the right places. So it's not just about an issue of raising revenue, getting the numbers right, but also
Okay.
ensuring that the other sectors, especially the productive sectors, are not heavily affected negatively, so that they can also generate the needed employment and output. I think that's certainly the argument. So don't uh, impose taxes for the sake of raising more revenue, but also look at the ramifications or the effects of your tax on the key productive sectors of the economy, if they are being severely or negatively affected or not. That is the sure way to go.
Finally, Professor, we acknowledge your time here, but initially you talk about the consumption amidst COVID-19 and the need for more efficiency in the use of public funds. But how do we balance this going forward to ensure a brighter prospect?
Oh, certainly there are systems in place. I mean, if you want to spend, my argument is we need to all have value for money. Let's use the systems, the procurement systems and the rest and get value for money. Um, we ought to spend. We cannot run away from that. Government certainly has to spend, but make sure if we need to pick three entities, we need to go through the legal requirements. We don't circumvent certain measures in our spending so that we get value for money in whatever expenditure item we engage in.
Professor Peter Quarter, we're so grateful for your analysis as always. He's an economist with the Institute of Social Statistical Economic Research. The big news this afternoon is that the Bank of Ghana has maintained the policy rate, which is the rate at which banks lend, the central bank lends to the banks, to 13.5% amidst several strategic measures being put in place to ensure the effect of COVID-19 does not sink the economic fortunes amid interventions by government. We shall keep an eye on this closely to understand the remits and the effects moving forward. But let's now talk about mobile money, because the Mobile Money Association of Ghana has raised concerns over the spate of attacks on their members. At a press conference, the association warns that neglecting the development could pose danger to the safety of mobile money agents and users across the country. Let's listen into them.
We need a better and a transparent commission base. We don't want a business whereby the commission is being hidden and then at the end of the month, they just push anything to us. We've been writing letters to their office several times, but they have refused to listen to us. As we speak now, when it comes to fraud and robbery issue, we don't have any insurance commission to cover us. Our activity is also now a vital and a key role in our society that we are now as a mobile money agents. So we will urge MTN to increase. Other telcos are doing better in terms of commission bid. They are taking 50-50. We are taking 50-50. So why is it that MTN is giving us 40-60? So what we are saying that MTN should beef up so that as GRA is speaking that we are supposed to be taxed on our cash out commission. Even if they are able to make it 50-50 and GRA takes out their 10% cash out commission or cash in commission or whatever, we'll still have something better to take home.
MTN is benefiting a lot from these transactions, the cash in and cash out. We have been complaining to them several times, but they don't see, they see it as a sham. They don't want to tell us the truth. They just came out and told us that they have been deducting commission from our cash out or cash in. From the time they established this mobile money business, they have been deducting commission from our cash in. They don't actually, or they don't really tell us the actual amount which they use in calculating to deduct the tax, only to be told that they are also going to deduct another commission from our cash out. And in fact, we have to raise our brow. We have to raise our brow because we've seen that they are cheating us.
We are pleading on your behalf to please do something about it, because this one is a problem we are all facing. And so we want you to please not to take the cash out commission.
I have a problem with MTN about the ID card. Please, if MTN can do anything for us, when somebody bring in invalid ID, they are supposed to reject it, because any number you enter, whether you enter 1, 2, 3, 4, or you enter 0, anything you enter as an ID, it will go. And it's really affecting with the agents. If you don't take it before, like, your SIM is blocked. So please, I'm pleading to MTN.
And of course, we have channeled most of the concerns to MTN. The head of mobile money, Elihene, has assured of a response in our subsequent bulletin. So we shall keep you posted on that particular development. But moving on to the aviation sector, the Commissioner for Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau, Akwesi Ajabe Prempe, has stated that his outfit is bent on ensuring that the rerouting of airlines amid easing of COVID-19 restrictions will be incident-free. Speaking to Joy Business on the site of a 5-day training program for investigators and staff of the AIB Ghana, the Commissioner expressed preparedness for the initiative.
When I assumed office, we quickly set up a temporary investigators in case there is incident, serious incident or accident. These people will go in and conduct the investigation. Per ICAO recommendations, before any investigator that you've appointed conduct investigation, you have to give that investigator the basic training, although we have series of trainings that they'll be going after this one. But the basic ones must be given to them so that their reports or their findings will be acceptable by all stakeholders. In case there's an incident, what we are doing is to enhance the safety, the aviation safety in Ghana. So if you have investigators who are well trained, you can be rest assured that the public confidence will be very high, in the sense that when they come out with any report or any findings, the stakeholders, being the airline operators, the regulator, which is the CA, or the aerodrome operator, will accept it, because it's coming from a qualified or satisfied investigator.
Now, the Chief Executive of Ghana Chamber of Mines, Suleiman Kony, says there is an urgent need for the review of the mining laws to include a development proposal for mining communities. According to him, this will ensure such communities benefit from the proceeds of the natural resources through infrastructure transformation. Mr. Kony was speaking during a media engagement with members of the press in Accra.
Engagement was organized by the Journalists for Business Advocacy to serve as a platform for industry players and the media to dialogue on important matters concerning mining in the country. According to the Chamber of Mines, a development plan in the country's mining laws will be the best channel to make communities benefit from the natural resources. In his address, Chief Executive of the Chamber, Suleiman Kony, said such a policy will bridge the development gap between rural and urban areas.
You have an Obuasi and a Takwa. How can they take advantage of the presence of the number of mining companies and service providers, mine support service companies within the jurisdiction, these two jurisdictions, for example, to grow and develop? So all I'm saying is that you cannot be thinking about the development of Obuasi and Takwa without the input of the mining industry. And here, I'm not just talking about fiscal contributions or donations. It's about the thought process, that what or how does Anglo Gold Ashanti say Obuasi see itself in the next 5 years and 10 years? And how can the development planners within those localities, plug into the growth and development agenda of Obuasi? Exactly the point I'm making.
President of the Journalists for Business Advocacy, Suleiman Mustafa, underscored the need for sector players to engage with media practitioners in order to have a better understanding of the operations.
Ghana now has an enlightened media which also serves as advocate for public policy in Ghana, which aims at enhancing the positioning of the mining support services industry to play the role of regional hub for the benefit of the Ghanaian economy as a whole. Here, the Ghanaian media needs to be at the forefront of advocacy for a fiscal framework that actively rewards mining industry support service providers that export their products and services to neighboring countries in order to earn dearly needed foreign exchange for Ghana.
The theme for the workshop was positioning Ghana as a mining support services hub.
Of course, and that's how we end this edition of The Marketplace. My name is Charles Aite. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com, where you could get all the updates you need to start your day and make the right investment choices. Many thanks for watching once again. Enjoy the rest of our programs.